and welcome to Right Woman Right. I'm Donna Barker, and I have with me today Dawn Suzette Smith, who is an author who has done a TEDx talk. And after we were speaking about her book, she just mentioned offhand, like something every author gets to do, that she had done a TEDx talk. So I just wanted to hear this story about how it came that you did a TEDx talk. Bravo!
Thank you. It's kind of wild, but Carrie Green from the Female Entrepreneur Association had a video that was about her TEDx talk and how it came about for her. And one of her pieces of advice was that if you want to do a TEDx talk, search the cities around your area to find out who's hosting a TEDx event. So TED obviously is the main event organizer for TED Talks, and TEDx events are independently organized TED Talks. So they follow the same format as TED, but they're funded independently. Okay. So they have sponsors and things like that to help them fund the event. So I searched Halifax, which is the nearest big city to me here in Nova Scotia. I searched down in Maine and Portland and other big cities in Maine and Vermont and New Hampshire, like anywhere within a day's drive. And then I started searching. I had searched St. John in New Brunswick, and then I searched for Moncton, and they had an event coming up. And so it was about a month off, and I thought, oh, they've probably already selected their speakers. This is a long shot. Maybe I'll just see, and maybe for next year. So I was talking to my mom on the phone, and she goes, oh, no, you need to write them an email, and, just in case, maybe they'll have somebody drop out, and they need backup speakers or something.
Smart mom.
I know. So that was, I said, okay, well, tomorrow morning I'll write them an email. So I wake up in the morning, and there's, in my inbox, because I signed up for their newsletter, a call for speakers.
Really?
It was uncanny timing, and I thought, oh my gosh, you have to be kidding me. Now I really have to do it. So they required a 4-minute, I think it was 4 minutes, audio.
Oh, not with video, just audio?
Video. Yes, video.
Okay. So
they wanted a short video of you saying who you were, what you're all about, and what your talk would be. So, of course, I put it off. And I put it off, and I put it off, and I was really trying to think, what would my talk be? And the theme of the event was local, focusing on local issues. And so I was trying to figure out, I'm a naturalist, and the things I do is work with families to help them connect with nature. And obviously that's a local issue no matter where you are. So I thought, well, I have to have something to do with that. And so one evening I thought, it's the last night I can send this in.
No.
I have to do something. I had no video camera, just had my iPhone.
Yeah.
So I went out in my garden, and it was still covered in snow, but I hate indoor lighting, so I set my iPhone up on my little garden box, and I was doing all these takes of me trying, because I have no editing software or anything, so I'm trying to do it all in one take. I'm not editing this.
And had you done any video before, or much video before?
Oh, no.
So there's that. I'm feeling nervous for you.
Oh, I know. It was just so raw. And I thought, oh, this is such a long shot, but I have to do it, because if I don't, then, I'll regret that I just didn't even give it a shot. I mean, how can you? I had recently read this book called Rejection Proof, and I thought all I could do is say no.
That's right.
It's not going to hurt me.
That's right.
So over in my garden, over and over and over again, and I took it so many times, my nose was getting red, and it was running, so I had to come inside to warm up and go back out again, and so finally I got, good enough. I did my little spiel that I had practiced in my head, and I got it good enough, and I came in, and I loaded in the computer, and I sent it off, and I thought, okay, I'm done with that.
Yes.
And a couple weeks later, I got an email saying they wanted me to talk.
That's so great.
And they gave me 15 minutes, which I learned that not everybody gets 15 minutes. Wow. I learned once I got there, I learned that, some people only get 8 minutes, some people get 10 minutes, some people get 15 minutes. There was one gentleman at the talk that got 18 minutes, but the rest of us got there were only 2 of us that got 15 minutes, and then the rest got less than that. So then I had to actually
prepare
for my talk. And I taught high school for 6 years, so I thought, well, if I can handle high schoolers, I can talk in front of an audience of a couple hundred people, right?
Yeah.
So I did lots of research, just how to prepare, and the people that ran the event were just fabulous. They were so kind, and they connected me with a gentleman who is a Toastmaster,
mm-hmm.
and he had spoke at the event the year or 2 previous. And so we talked over the phone, and he gave me some really, really great tips on, presentation and kind of this, formula without being formula.
Right.
And then they got my slides, and they sent them to, like, this PowerPoint expert.
Wow.
And he gave me tips about, the PowerPoint presentation and what, how that's going to work, and whether or not the slides, flowed and stuff. And of course, I take all my own pictures, so he was really pleased with the photographs and things like that. And so, then I just had to get it down to 15 minutes, which is so hard. I can sit and blabber on for a good hour, no problem. But, being concise and making points that people are going to remember.
Yeah.
So I used my iPhone and I recorded myself. I wrote out my whole speech.
Yeah.
There's some people that just have, the bullet points and, no. I wrote out everything word for word, exactly what I wanted to be. I edited it, I re-edited it, and then I spoke it into my phone and timed myself, and I was at like 21 minutes.
Oh no.
Yeah. So then I thought, oh, this is bad. So, I kept on whittling it down, and finally I got it to, near 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was funny because there were events that happened. My husband was going to come with me. Our kids were going to stay with friends. My son got sick. He couldn't, my husband stayed home with him because it's 2.5 hours away. I mentioned something on Facebook about, Dylan's sick, Wes can't come. And my friend messaged me, hey, if you want someone to ride with you to Moncton, let me know. I'll go with you. So she ended up coming, and we're driving, and I'm kind of like, mulling over my speech, talk in my head. And she goes, well, you just got to say it to me. Like, you need to practice on somebody, right? So I did, and she actually gave me some tips, like right there in the car, like, just a few little tweaks.
Yeah.
For instance, like I was going to say, we spent hours outside, and she goes, maybe you just want to say you spent time outside, because if you say you spent hours outside, that might intimidate people, like, that they're not going to go outside.
Good point.
So, just little tweaks, and I was able to incorporate those because my talk was called Creating a Nature Habit.
Nice.
And so we moved from California to Nova Scotia. And so the talk kind of centered around this idea that moving to a completely new place allowed me to see nature, like, totally through a child's eyes again.
Yeah.
And so my kids were 3 and 5, and I was homeschooling, and we would just go on these nature walks that were, after breakfast, out the door.
Yeah.
And everything was new to me. I knew my kids were like, what's this? What's this? What's this? I have no idea. Like, that's nothing I grew up with. So that kind of re-energized. I've always been interested in nature and spent a lot of time outdoors, but it really re-energized my desire to know more about what was around us. And kind of, it became part of our family culture, just to go on hikes and to go on walks and explore this new place that was so fascinating. So the talk itself, it was so funny that I got there, and they had us do a practice. And there's a woman.
Had you done public speaking like that before?
No.
Really?
No. Like I said, I taught high school for 6 years, but just, up in front of my own classes. And then I have a nature group that I take homeschool families on nature walks every Friday.
Not very intimidating. No.
No. So here I am, I mean, like, I've been, staying home with my kids, homeschooling them for 8 years.
Yeah.
And really out of the spotlight in any way.
Yeah.
So while I was confident I could pull it off,
That's amazing.
I didn't have any background to
chutzpah. You had lots of chutzpah.
So, well, and the book had just come out, and I was like, this is what I gotta do. I'm an author now. I gotta put myself out there. So I think that I think if the book wasn't out, I don't know that I would have had the gumption to go for it.
Well, and I wonder, did having your book give you that extra, well, you called it gumption, even that extra confidence to stand up and say, yeah, I'm an expert. Look, I wrote this book. I'm obviously an expert.
My friend keeps telling me that. She's like, you're an expert now. I'm like, I don't feel like an expert. So yeah, because there's that whole thing in the back of your head, like, no, experts are people with PhDs, right? I mean, but I'm learning more and more. So many people that I'm coming in contact with are, self-taught,
mm-hmm.
and the word on the street now is, you don't have to have a PhD to be an expert. That's in the past. I mean, those credentials certainly help in a lot of ways, but it's not necessarily what people are looking for all the time. And I have a good friend who, she's very encouraging to me in a lot of ways, and we sit at her house and talk over coffee or tea, and she's like, no, you know what, people want to relate to people.
Yeah.
People want people that are like them, like you're at point B and they're at point A, but it didn't take a master's degree or a PhD to get to point B. It's just where they want to be, and you know how to get there because that's where you are, and you're just a regular person who's gotten there, and now they want to learn that from you.
Yeah.
And so those types of conversations have boosted me in a lot of ways, and I think that mindset is what really pushed me to just jump into this idea.
That's amazing. What a great story.
Yeah, but I mean, the woman that was sitting there, she actually had, an iPad with the big, huge timer on it, and they're timing you. And I was talking to somebody who said, yeah, if you go over your time, you're just going to get that, thank you very much. That was very nice. Bye. And
I could just see the big cane coming out on stage.
Yeah. So that night, so I went through my practice, and I got pretty close, to my 15 minutes, and a little over. But so then that evening, while I'm giving the talk, it's all dark. You can't really see anybody. And my in-laws were in the front row because they drove up from Maine, which was nice. That's really nice. Well, almost the front row. I think they were one back, but I didn't know where they were at the time. Yeah, and I think it was about 13 something that I stopped looking at the clock, and I just said, okay, at this point, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I made a mistake, and I covered myself, which was kind of funny, but I had quoted Richard Louv, who wrote Last Child in the Woods, and he's also written Nature, the Nature Principle, I think it was. Anyway, he coined the term nature deficit disorder.
Nature deficit disorder. Cool.
Yeah, and so he's been a huge advocate for getting children back into nature and unstructured play and things like that. Well, in my practice, I had accidentally called him Dr. Richard Louv, even he's not a doctor. And I thought, don't do that. So of course I did. So I'm in my talk, and I said, doctor, and I went, well, he's not a doctor, but he should be because he's amazing. And then I just said, Richard Louv. And so I emailed him after the talk was put up on YouTube, and I said, I just want to let you know that I quoted you in my TEDx talk, and I called you doctor, and and he was really great about it. He's like, oh yeah, that's great. I love it when people give me extra degrees.
Of course.
So he was really great, and that was another one of those things. Like I mulled over, should I email him? Should I email him? And then I thought, why not? Like, it was ignore it. And then he ended up sharing it on his network. So
nice.
It's huge. So, yeah, so that's how it all came
Well
about.
done. Well
Thanks.
done. That's inspiring. I would love, that's on my list. It's on my vision board, a TEDx talk, but I'm not there yet.
Just
I know, and Whistler's had one, and Vancouver has them. So and I'm an hour from both Whistler and Vancouver. I know they come back. So, but I look at the people who are there, and it's the classic. I look at the people, even though every single one of those events, I know at least one person from my world, my work world.
Yeah.
But they're all so smart. It's like, not that smart. Anyway.
I understand that confidence thing. Yeah. I mean, I come from a very working class, military family. Both of my parents, just got out of high school, went into the working world, and, I was the first one in my family to go to university. And honestly, at the time, it was kind of like, oh, Dawn's going to get her MRS degree. Have you heard
Come
that?
on, really? Wow. I think of that as the 1950s.
Yeah, but, as much as I adore my parents,
that was the attitude, yeah.
I was the youngest. I was the only girl. That's what she did, You found a husband and whatever, and I didn't have a lot of direction. I wasn't, determined, I'm going to go to school because I want to become this.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I want to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of, a little lost. I changed my major so many times. My dad finally just said, just tell me what you're getting a degree in on the day of graduation, because I
can't keep up.
So yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of validity to kind of why is Dawn even going to university? But yeah, I mean, it's a confidence thing for sure. That's but I don't know. I would definitely recommend the book Rejection Proof. Rejection Proof. Good. Yeah, it's a quick read. He's very funny, but he basically goes through a process of 100 rejections.
Wow, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
If you
just how bad can it be?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. If anyone's interested, Dawn and I spoke about co-authoring and your amazing story about how you just an agent landed in your lap, and then the publisher landed in your lap, so you didn't have a single rejection there.
Sometimes it's kind of embarrassing.
No, it's fabulous. And then you've got me, who had a manuscript that was good enough and got great feedback from a development editor, and I started submitting it, and at 50 rejections from agents, and a lot of them were positive. They had, requested the full manuscript, and so many of the ones that read the whole thing, or at least read enough of it, they said, we don't know, and you mentioned this too, we don't know where to put that on a shelf, because it's genre-less. It's got so many genres, it's genre-less, right?
Yes.
So, but after a certain number of rejections, I stopped caring, kind of. It's kind of like, I didn't take it personally.
Say that nobody else has said.
That's right. And it wasn't personal anymore. And I think there's great power in that.
Yeah.
And
I think something that's really important to highlight in terms of any kind of thing where, they could have said, no, we don't want you to do TEDx talk because we don't feel that that's local enough for our team. It may have had nothing to do with me.
Right.
It have just been their agenda. And my agent recently contacted me, and I wanted to kind of revive the ABC book with a publisher she's working with, and she thought the idea was great and it would be a great match for her, but then she came back and said they're already publishing, they're in the process of publishing an ABC book that's very similar. So it doesn't have anything to do with my book in particular.
Yeah.
It's the powers that be and what's happening at the time. And our original proposal that we went forward with is still hanging out there that got rejected. Essentially, we did get a rejection, right, but it just so happens that it opened a door. Right. And that's the other part of it, is that you just never know by throwing stuff out there what doors are going to open. Because if we hadn't done that first proposal and thrown it out there, then, the editor would have never seen our blog, would have never seen the ebook we did on the sidebar, and that door would have never opened to publish the book. So I think that that's something that's really important to keep in mind, is to keep on putting stuff out there and to keep on putting yourself out there, because you just never know. And it's like, I never know what's going to come about because of the TEDx talk. That 15 minutes, who knows where that's going to lead in the future. I mean, it's been up on the web for a while. I don't even think it has 500 views yet, but who knows what will happen and who will see it and where that might lead. So, or just who it could impact in a positive way. Well, I had somebody email me and say, I was going to sell my house in the country and move 15 minutes into town because I just felt like it wasn't worth it and maybe I need to be closer to work. But because of your talk, I realized how important it is for my kids to have access to nature, and I decided not to sell my house right now.
Wow.
That one talk that she heard, and, she made a decision like that, I mean, who knows what we'll hold in the future, but for right now, our kids have this amazing access to the forest and building forts and doing all the things that they get to do because she heard my talk.
That's so fabulous.
So stuff like that, I mean, that was my thing. Is like, I don't know how this is going to go, and I don't know where it's going to go, but if it even impacts one person in a positive way, then that's good.
And then the other thing is, it's obviously going to have impacted you in a positive way.
Oh, the experience and the idea that I can just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the confidence, that extra. Yeah, and it really is something, I mean, we all have highs and lows. And so I think that, when I get really low and I feel like, I'm just banging my head against the wall and, like, how much longer am I going to do this? And, maybe I should just bag it all and just go build a big garden. Moments like that. But then you go, wait a second, I am making an impact, and it's for me and for other people. And I think those are important things to kind of tether yourself to.
I just read, this week, I was reading about confidence because I'm building a module in Right Woman Right about revving up your confidence. And one thing that, some expert, capital E expert in confidence building said was, that we all go through these stages where we think, what have I actually accomplished? What have I done? And the antidote to that is to actually sit down with a pen and a piece of paper, not in a computer, and just write down, I've done this and this. And all of a sudden you're going to realize, holy cow, I've done so much. And you forget about all those little things that aren't really that little.
No.
So, well done. Yeah. Really. All right. That was a really fun bonus talk.
Yeah. Well, I am no TED Talk expert or TEDx Talk expert by any means, but I can say that if you have the opportunity, definitely go for it. It's an amazing experience. Even the people that were running the event were phenomenal and so encouraging. And, we had our little goodie bag and our little station because it was in a theater. So there were all these stations where people get their makeup and hair done.
Oh, wow.
But so we each had our own little station. We didn't get our makeup and hair done, but we each had our own little station, and they had, little bag full of things from the community. And it was just a really, really fun experience to be a part of.
Nice.
So,
well, congratulations. Well done.
Thank
TED
you.
Talk and publishing a book in the same year. Woo! What's the third? In the same month.
Yeah, the book came out on April 5th, and the TED Talk was on April 22nd, I think it was. So yeah, it was a bit of a whirlwind, but totally worth it.
That's fabulous. Well, it's been such a treat to talk to you twice, and I look forward to staying in touch, Dawn.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. It's fun. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye.